In our fourth example, we have it so that we have to find the sum of 1 divided by square root k plus 1 divided by plus square root k plus 1, where k is equal to 1 all the way to 15. So first of all, we have it so we can notice that this over here is equal to square root k plus 1 minus k. Why is that? Well, if we multiply the conjugate of this over here, which will be square root k plus 1 minus square root k, then we get this on the numerator and 1 on the denominator, which is, so this is just the same thing as that. So let's just do what we did in the last examples. Put this over here into this. So now we're going to get that square root 2 minus 1 is minus square root 1, square root 3 minus square root 2, all the way to square root 16 minus square root 15. So let's cancel some of this. Square root 2 and square root 2, square root 3, and square root 15 all cancel out, and everything in between also does. So we're going to be left with square root 16 minus square root 1, which is also just 3, which is 4 minus 1. So there's our answer to our fourth example. In our last example, we have it so that we had to find the sum of 1 divided by k plus 1 times k square root k plus k times square root k plus 1, where k is equal to 1 or all the way to n. So first of all, you can tell that these two examples are pretty alike, but so let's just do what we did last time. Multiply the base by its conjugate. Just conjugate. So when we do that, we get k times k plus 1 on the bottom, and its conjugate k plus 1 times square root k minus k times k plus square root k plus 1. So there's two ways to do it from here. We're going to be discussing both of them. So first of all, we can just separate this into one fraction, and this over here into another fraction. So was canceling, k plus 1 was here, and k was this over here. We're left with having square root k divided by k minus square root k plus 1 divided by k plus 1. So, but then another way to do this is to have, well, we have the same thing over here, but we divide square root k times k plus 1 with everything. We're left with this over here, and when separating into its separate fractions, we get 1 divided by k minus 1 divided by k plus 1, which both are the same thing. So you can use whatever method you'd like. Now let's put this into this over here. We have it so that it's equal to 1 divided by square root 1 minus 1 divided by square root 2 plus 1 divided by square root 2 minus 1 divided by square root 3, all the way to 1 divided by square root n minus 1 divided by square root n plus 1. Cancel, 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 cancel everything in between, and we're going to be left with 1 minus 1 divided by square root n plus 1. And there you go. That's our answer to our last example.